Together, Disney and Pixar have created some of the most nostalgic movies of all time. But even the cute and lovable shows of our childhood have a few dark secrets. Welcome back, friends. I'm your host Kennedy, and today we are back again with some even creepier fan theories of your favorite childhood classics. So get ready, because this is the top 10 evil Disney Pixar theories that will make you question everything, part 2. Starting us off at number 10. Brave. While it might not seem like Brave has much of a connection to other Pixar movies in the catalog, there are some fans out there who have connected the Scottish flick to the beloved world of Monstropolis. Now, I know it seems strange, but just hear me out. The connection lies with the witch in Brave, and the theory is that she's actually the beloved Boo all grown up. Now, you may be thinking, Brave is set in like the 14th century, while Monsters Inc. is like 1,000 years later, so how could she be older? To that I say, you are forgetting one very important thing. The Monstropolis world possesses the ability to travel through time and space through doors, and realistically, why couldn't that mean that you could time travel through them as well? And if you closely look, you will see that the witch has a carving of Sully in her workshop, which would only make sense if she knew who he was. Plus, the witch disappears without a trace after entering a door in her magic hut, suggesting that she still has one of the magic doors from Monstropolis to use for her time travels. Now, the truly evil part of this whole theory is it's believed that Boo devoted her life after Monsters Inc. to searching for Sully, but tragically has never been able to find him, which, I mean, if that doesn't break your heart, I don't know what will. Next up at number 9, A Bug's Life. If you've ever watched A Bug's Life and wondered why there are so few humans, you are not alone. In fact, there is even an evil theory that explains it all. So for starters, in regards to the PCU timeline, A Bug's Life is set roughly a century after WALL-E, so somewhere in the 23rd century. And what that means is that not only is it post-BNL takeover, but that it is also a disaster zone. It's been theorized that Ant Island takes place in an area with high nuclear fallout, which in turn would mean that all the bugs are likely radioactive. This would of course explain the strange colors and size of the bugs, as well as the sheer lack of human interaction due to the fact that humans would want to steer clear of the gamma rays in the area. But it also means that Bug's Life is pretty much set in a post-apocalyptic world, making a once sunshiny movie about as dark as it gets. Coming in at number 8, Monsters Origin. While Monsters Inc. is the most in the future as far as the PCU goes, have you ever wondered how these monsters actually came to be in the first place? Well, if you ever glossed over the special features on your DVD, then you would have found a short written about the monsters' origin story. In the feature, it shows that monsters, or mons, and humans, or mans, once lived side by side. However, the mans were not keen about these small, ugly, bad-breathed mons, and so they drove them away, banishing them from ever returning. The mons, with nowhere to go, then fled to an enchanted island, and extremely hungry from their travels, began eating the fruit they found on the island. However, after eating this strange fruit, they began turning into terrifying creatures, soon resembling the very animals that also ate the fruits. Then one day, one of the mons peered over into a pool of water and was so shocked to see the monster he had become that he frightened even himself. However, this gave him an idea. What if they could give the mans a taste of their own medicine and scare them away as revenge for banishing them? So the mons snuck back over to where the mans lived and scared them beyond belief. However, they liked it so much that mons decided to become monsters and made it their life's mission to scare humans for the rest of eternity. So essentially, the entire plot of the film is a giant revenge plan against mankind. Coming in at number 7, Andy's dad. This one is kind of a two-parter. So there is a pretty unanimous fan theory that Andy's dad is dead. This theory originates from an alleged story told to consultant Mike Mozart by one of the original movie writers, Joe Ranft. And according to the tale, in an early draft of the script, there was a backstory where Andy's dad had polio as a child and left Woody to his infant son after he died. Now, that in and of itself is obviously incredibly dark, but it could actually be even darker. Reddit user Eat Books tacked on to the popular belief, going on to say that they believe not only is Andy's dad dead, but the entire first film is a metaphor for Andy's mom remarrying a new man, and the actual story is being filtered through Andy's play the whole time. They continue on to explain that, quote, Woody represents his biological father, someone sturdy but visualized as a roaming cowboy. Buzz represents Andy's stepfather, a shiny, cool new dad, one that makes Woody seem dangerously out of date. Now, what's wild about this one is how much it actually makes sense. I mean, this would explain Woody's initial jealousy and denial of Buzz becoming part of the family, but it also still checks out that he eventually comes around to the idea that this is just how life is going to be from now on. Plus, we already know that Disney is not afraid to kill off a parent. Coming in at number 6, Sully's fate. Sully's fur is, without a doubt, one of the most standout parts of the Monsters, Inc. animation. I mean, not only is the signature blue and purple pattern something you could spot from a mile away, but it was also an intense labor of love, reportedly made of upwards of 1 million hairs and animated to move as realistically as possible. And as you've probably guessed, it's Sully's fuzzy fur that forms the center of this next very disturbing theory. In the film, we see the villain Randall tell Sully that humans have been known to strip monsters of their skin and use them as toilet seat covers. And while it's definitely an entertaining little throwaway line, it was never something I gave much thought to until I read this theory. The theory points out that in Partysaurus Rex, a Toy Story spin-off short, we see an eerily familiar sight in the bathroom, a toilet seat cover that perfectly resembles Sully's fur. So let's just say for a moment that Randall wasn't actually kidding around at all. It would appear that Sully entered into a dangerous portal and instead of harvesting laughter from a client was skinned and made into a decoration for the house. To make matters even more bleak, if we're also on board with the witch from Brave being Boo, this would mean the reason she's never able to track him down is because he's dead. Coming in at number 5, Cars. Despite being a seemingly harmless and wholesome series of movies, when it comes to terrifying theories, Cars has more than a few disturbing ones rolled up its sleeves. If you remember from the first part of this series, there's a theory that all the cars on the planet killed all the humans on Earth and then used their AI to adopt their previous owners' personalities, which you would think would be creepy enough. However, you would be wrong. According to Jay Ward, the creative director of Cars, it's not just the personalities of their previous owners that the cars seem to have adopted, but also their organs too, meaning that they are pretty much cyborgs. When asked why we never see inside the car hood or view the car doors open, he replied, quote, "You'll never see the doors open because the brains and eyes are in there, and we don't want anything falling out of the side." I'm sorry, what? So not only did they kill all the humans of the planet, they somehow harvested their organs, or at the very least managed to grow organic human matter somehow. Honestly, I am scared to ask too many other questions about this one. Coming in at number 4, The Incredibles and Cars. If you thought I was done with my horrifying Cars theories, then you're sorely mistaken. However, this next one also involves The Incredibles. So as we've already covered, the Cars killed all of humanity, potentially harvested their organs, and then used AI to generate human personalities. But have you ever wondered where exactly this advanced technology would have come from? There is one theory that suggests it came from the evil villain of the first Incredibles movie, Syndrome. The theory starts off by explaining that Syndrome created his robots to hunt down supers, hence giving them a high level of artificial intelligence. However, as we know, his own creation ends up turning against him after becoming self-aware enough to realize it was being taken advantage of, which is pretty much exactly what happens in the Cars theory. Now, while the final robot from Incredibles is destroyed, it's been suggested that the actual technology would have still remained, and so therefore would have, in turn, been passed on to other robots, eventually causing the complete uprising of AI motor vehicles. Coming in at number 3, Finding Nemo. It goes without saying that Pixar movies are not 100% scientifically accurate. I mean, they are meant to be wholesome family movies after all, and so for the sake of a good story, some biological impossibilities are kind of glossed over. And honestly, in the case of Finding Nemo, thank God. This one is, I guess, less of a theory and more of an incredibly disturbing fact, but trust me, it will still leave you questioning everything. So in real life, clownfish are actually born genderless, and their gender is therefore determined by the needs of the colony. Now, in a clownfish colony, there is only ever one female, and so if the breeding female dies, the alpha male that had previously been her mate essentially stops producing the hormones that make him male and turns into the breeding female. From there, one of the other juvenile males of the colony becomes the new breeding male. So without, saying it outright, in Finding Nemo, Marlin's wife dies, and he is left with only Nemo in his colony. Marlin, being the previous breeding male, would then turn into a female, and, well, I will let you finish the rest of that thought. Coming in at number 2, The Incredibles government. Right from the get-go of the first movie, government agents play a fairly substantial role in the plot of The Incredibles. And while it's set up to show that their job is to watch over retired supers, making sure they don't reveal their true identity, the truth could actually be much darker. It's been pointed out that if their true purpose was actually to watch over these retired supers, then why do they not seem involved in the fact that they keep disappearing and even dying? Even more so, if they were watching them, how were they completely unaware that they were being escorted to Syndrome's top secret island, unless they did know, and they were actually behind it the whole time? This evil theory suggests that Syndrome was actually working with government agents to get the whereabouts of the supers, and that the government supported it as it discreetly got rid of them, therefore saving them millions in protecting or cleaning up after their mishaps. The theory then goes on to explain that Syndrome would have likely won them over by offering technology in exchange for their cooperation. And I mean, talk about evil. And last up in our number 1 spot, life on the Axiom ship. Wouldn't you know, there is yet another WALL-E theory out there that might just change the way you watch this movie forever. So according to the theory, the infamous Axiom spaceship was only designed to be a temporary solution to the world's problems. In fact, the human safe haven was only supposed to be a 5-year interim measure to house all of humanity, while our lovable robot cleaned up the world one trash cube at a time. However, if you remember, the Axiom ship was in space much longer than that, 695 years longer to be exact, which poses a very disturbing question. How on earth were they feeding all of these people? Well, one theory suggests that the people of the Axiom ship are unknowingly consuming their own dead. It all started after a YouTuber did the math and worked out that in its 700-year-long voyage, the ship would have amassed about 2 million corpses. And even if they overplanned and brought on, let's say, 10 or even 50 years worth of food, reason stands that somewhere along the line they would have began running out of resources. So with a lack of food and a surplus of dead bodies, the evil conglomerate was likely recycling their dead and feeding it to humans for hundreds of years. So yeah, good luck getting that one out of your head. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you liked this one. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button and please share down below in the comments the most disturbing Pixar theories you've ever read about. I am dying to know. See you next time.